Don't say it like that.
We will now be talking about aliens.
Oh gosh. Anyway, welcome back, people, to ISO Insiders. We've been off for a minute due to events, life, and other gigs that we're doing that actually coincided with our normal recording time. So, yay for business.
Yeah, at least we're working.
You know what? That's true. And I ain't gonna lie, it's hard out here.
Yeah, it's a difficult task in many ways. Sometimes you can't even give away this work.
Facts. People be picky about free work.
Yeah, which is always funny to me. I always find that funny. I've actually offered to give away a few things before in the past, and people were just like, they would cancel on me, which is odd. It's just like
what I learned to do is actually for certain people with free work, you got to make them put a deposit. You get back when you show up, but that way they're invested financially. Because I've had a couple of times people will just sit there and like, yeah, I want to come through, I want to collab for photo shoot or whatever. And then I'm sitting there for like 4 or 5 hours and nobody arrives. And then I hear, oh, I'm so sorry. I got caught up with this. I got caught up with that. I was late for work. And then it's like, so why didn't you hit me up earlier? Why am I sitting here for 4 hours, 5 hours waiting for you? So now my new strategy is, all right, cool. You want to work with me? You want to collab? You're not paying me for my regular full price? Cool. Put a deposit down. When you show up, you get it back. If not, then my time hasn't been wasted.
That's terrible.
So what are we talking about today, Lance? It's your turn.
So today we're talking about media literacy. And if you don't know what that is, it's pretty much, as the second word implies, literacy is like, if you're illiterate or something like that, it usually implies you can't read something, or you have trouble reading, or you might have dyslexia, or
something like that.
You might be, and it could be, literacy it can cover a wide range of things, right? Where it's like you don't know how to deal with your emotions, you don't know how to do this, all kind of stuff. But pretty much media literacy, the only reason why this is being brought up is because of there are a lot of people now who are creating video content, right? And this is specific more to video literacy, I would say, or that type of media, versus, say, the written word or audio podcasts or anything like that, even though it technically does cover those things. But I think one of the biggest parts out there is social media, right? A lot of social media platforms, even one we're on, which is, some people don't consider YouTube social media, but it is.
It's definitely social media.
Right. So it's like, there where you've heard all kinds of things about YouTube and their algorithm and how things work, and how it's, not great how their algorithm works, where I feel like as though a lot of these companies rely on your low understanding of how media works to serve you your algorithm, right? And what media literacy tries to do is helps you navigate this type of thing, right? So you have news cycles. Oh, that's my phone.
Sir, I thought I told you
social
to put
media,
your phone on do not disturb like I did. See, you know what?
Do not disturb.
This is what happens when you get old, like the Billy Goat across.
Yes. Yeah. So, we are in an information saturated world, right?
Yes.
We are, my phone going off, we get news stuff. Always popping up. The news cycles are always flashing. There's something going off and stuff like that. So it's like, how do you determine, or, how do you determine what's true, false, that sort of thing? Critical thinking skills, informed decision making, digital citizenship.
Digital citizenship. You know what?
That's the thing. Yes,
bro. So it's funny because I just watched all the Starship Troopers, all last 5.
5.
Yes, there's 5.
There's
movies.
only one worth watching.
True.
Watch that, then Roughnecks.
There's 5 movies, and I've been playing. I've been playing the video game Starship Troopers Extermination. So when you say citizenship, all I'm thinking about is being a citizen and doing.
I
want
to be a citizen.
Do your bugs. So that's all that pops into my head. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Is media creation, production, and lifelong learning. Because this whole thing, the thing with media is an ongoing thing, right? Fun fact: did you know when the printing press came out that the same reaction people have today to influencers is the same reaction they had to newspapers.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because it's just something brand new that they didn't use? So let me guess, they thought that newspapers would never take off, or some people thought newspapers would never take off.
Right. It's a passing fad and it rots your brain.
I remember somebody. There was a famous quote by somebody of influence. I don't remember who it was. Maybe they worked for IBM or something like that. But when the internet was first invented and stuff like that, they basically said, "The internet's a passing fad. It'll never take off."
I think I know that was actually a reporter
No.
on NBC.
No, I don't think it
Wasn't it?
I don't think it was.
It was like the early 90s.
Yeah, but I think it was like somebody it's like a scientist or somebody important in the computer world.
That's
said
interesting. They would
And
say
they're
something like that.
No, it's not going to take off.
Well, egg on their face. But anyway.
Egg indeed.
So I would say the stuff I just mentioned I feel like these are skills you can cultivate to help you discern, perceive. I hate that word. Help you navigate through beyond just reading the headline.
Please tell me there's like a list of like top 5 things that we need to worry about.
I
got to thought about that.
So that's like a subject within a subject.
Oh,
but
Lord.
I would say the critical thinking part I think is the most important part, right? And this can help out a lot of people. So it's like media literacy empowers individuals to think critically about the information they consume rather than passively accepting it, right? This helps them become better problem solvers and decision makers. So, how do I make that sound like you understand what I'm talking about? It's like, it pretty much is like, it's kind of like, yes, having a perceived idea of like what you are consuming and stuff like that. You see a headline flash and some people just see that and that's it. They kind of run with it and stuff like that. So it's like, I would say for you, the person that's consuming all this stuff, figure out what is the best way for you to, consider the source where you're getting this from.
Shade Room, Media Takeout, TMZ, the best sources of journalism online right now.
Right. Yes. So, consider the source of where you're getting this information from. Who is saying these things? If it's on a Facebook meme or Instagram meme, no. It's like, and also on top of that, think about where things are coming from. But if you don't know, one thing I would recommend, and this is not a sponsorship, we're not sponsored by them, is Ground News.
Ground News. Yeah. I definitely am signed up for Ground News. Yeah,
so and the way Ground News works is, this sounds like a sponsored episode now, but the way it works is they're not paying us. It's pretty much showing you like which part is like, okay, who's covering this particular topic and how they're covering it.
And it actually shows you the different headlines. You can compare them across the spectrum. You have the right wing, left wing, and then the center. And you can see how on one topic, you'll see how the headlines change. Right. And speaking of, one thing I want to point out is, like you were saying, consider the source of where we're viewing our information. Like I said, Shade Room, Media Take on stuff like that. Sometimes they use rage bait headlines.
Yes. And Vice did that recently, too.
Yes, they did. I remember you went wild on YouTube with that one.
Yeah.
But it's like, technically what they're saying is true, but they won't give the full context unless you click a link, which of course leads to their page with all the ads on it so they can get ad revenue. Right. But without the actual information, people are quick to go off and complain and accuse and attack people without actually understanding the full context of the story because they didn't bother to click the link. Yeah. Which is why a lot of times now you'll see under posts like that, you'll see one person will actually go to the link to the story, and then they'll come and just drop a summary in the comment, the first comment. That'll be like the most upvoted comment because it's like the hero that we need.
Right.
That
it's like I read.
But I have seen many times people just go off the cuff, just based off of a headline, which is clearly rage baiting, without actually reading the article and then considering the article's source and then checking to see other sources that might actually give a different view, which is why Ground News is so possible. You know what?
It does sound like a sponsor. We should hit them up.
We should hit them up and see if we get a sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by Ground News. But no. But what we're saying is that helps you with your critical thinking skills. You don't have to be a researcher or anything like that. In fact, I implore you, please don't say do your own research. If you don't know what that means, stop it. It's like because you don't understand what real research looks like, and that ain't it. Just because you clicked around on a few things, but what it is like really, checking the bias of who's reporting this stuff, how they're reporting it, understanding the platform you're reading it on. Because, for instance, Instagram, the way people make money on there, when your page becomes verified, I think you could pay for it, right? If I'm not mistaken.
You can pay for verification.
Right. So when people interact with your post, they get money off of that. So because it's monetized. I mean, I think you need like a certain amount of followers.
You give me a threshold first.
Right. So it's like, consider because at the end of the day, we are in a capitalist society. Think about these things first, and then, because if you're trying to be informed or an informed person, you really have to also check your own personal bias as well.
True.
And do more listening than talking, because it will help you out, because you look like a fool. And
like, listen to understand, not to answer.
Exactly. Like, just what are you doing? But anyway, that's part of, like, I would say when it comes to critical thinking and stuff like that. I'm not trying to be like, you're Matlock now, and I figured out how to solve the problems. Like, no, that's not what I'm talking
Sir, you are showing your age.
Hey, there's a new Matlock. Yeah.
There's a what?
There's a new one.
You're lying.
No.
Who's playing Matlock?
What is her name?
There's a lady?
There's a lady. But she's pretending to be from that lineage. It's weird, but I'm not gonna get into it. It's on Paramount. It's on
Leave
Paramount.
Matlock alone.
I like it. The new one is pretty cool.
All right,
but
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. So, critical thinking will help you lead into informed decision making. Right. This is another point. Right. So it's like media literacy will equip people with the tools to evaluate the credibility of information sources, allowing them to make informed choices in their personal and professional lives. So a lot of this stuff, when we say, like, consider the source, make a decision, come to a conclusion. And yes, these things can affect you in not just your personal life, and also your professional life. You have to be very careful, right? Because you might hear something, go to the job, rant about it, and then your manager's like, yo, come here.
No. You get the message from HR. Can I see for half an hour after lunch?
Exactly. So it's like, you have to be very careful, because it's almost like saying, consider your audience. Who are you talking to? Like, are you going to badger your wife or your husband or your mother, or maybe your mother's badgering you and like, hey, look at these links. It's like, this sort of thing. It's like, you have to sit there and, like, okay, what does this really mean? How is it going to affect you? How is it going to affect people around you? Because remember, you don't live in a void, okay? There are people around you that are affected by all this stuff. And, even if something as simple as who's the top, like, I don't even know what to call them, like, influencer on, like, Twitch or whatever. As I Show Speed, Kai Cenat, that sort of thing. I mean, it's different.
Hassan Piker, isn't he?
Right, he's like a political, so these people, like, you have to consider, okay, what is their lineage to what they're talking about, expertise, that sort of thing, and how does this look versus what is happening in the world and stuff like that.
Which is hilarious, because I have seen more and more in the last few years people discounting actual professionals in these studies because they went and read something on a meme.
Right.
But they're just like,
or they're trying to argue with them, actually.
Yes. Because the person was like, yeah, I'm 20 years, I'm a professor. I studied, this is literally my bread and butter. I went to school for this. I have a PhD in this topic, blah, blah, blah. Well, I read on this meme, and I did my own research. That's why you're wrong. And I'm just like, and considering I'm in school, and studying, psychology and stuff like that, and I'm reading all these different, I have to learn research. I have to learn how to research probably. I have to learn how to study sources, scholarly sources, peer-reviewed journals, stuff like that. And a lot of people don't even know what any of these terms mean, and it doesn't matter to them.
Well,
they just want to yell at you.
We are.
So I'm just like, oh, okay.
I think this nation is known. They said the average reading comprehension level of this nation, the USA, is a 6th grade level.
I've heard the same thing, and I'm very depressed about that.
It's really bad. It's really bad. So even that plays into your decision making, right? This is not so much the facts, it's more feelings. And it's like, And that's why a lot of other outlets out there, I'm not going to name them or anything like that, are able to push a certain narrative or figure out a way to like make you dumber or smarter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if we were to say present two, different, I would say three different influencers, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's Hassan Piker. He's a political, technically leftist type of commentator.
Mm-hmm.
There's Kai Cenat. He just
Talks game.
does dumb stuff all the time. He just talks a lot, he's always streaming. He's like chronically online.
He brings people online. He has guests and stuff like that.
Like celebrities, yada, and stuff like that. And then there's that one guy from TikTok, the one he doesn't say anything. I forgot his name.
Oh.
He's like the most followed person there. Or something.
Oh, my gosh. Does it start with an M?
I don't know what his name is.
Because for
for
a second there, I went MKBHD. I was like, no, that's Marcus Brownlee, who's also another huge
Well,
influencer.
yeah, he's a huge tech influencer, that sort of thing.
Oh, man, this guy,
I forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure people know who I'm talking about when you go like,
he does like this.
he does.
And he's
that guy.
worldwide because he just uses
He doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say anything. That way, I like that. It's genius because he does this.
Mm.
He uses his body and gestures to communicate.
Right. He's a physical comedian in a way.
It's
Yeah.
worldwide. He connects with so many people because there is no such thing as a language barrier. Everybody uses their hands and their body to communicate one way or the other.
Right.
So that man is a genius. All right. I just want to point that out.
And and each one of those people represents a different type of media literacy and stuff like that, right? So it's like, and I always say, consider, what is it that, like I said before, check your own bias and then go into these things and whatnot, because you have to really understand, like, why is it that you feel this way? Did somebody tell you to feel this way, or did you come to this conclusion?
Try to approach it from a neutral standpoint.
Yeah.
And, observe this. Let's go through this. Think about the source.
Mm-hmm.
Does any other sources confirm what they're saying from any other point of views?
Right.
Is your own bias sitting there and telling you that you should either believe it or not believe this because of your own personal experience?
Yeah.
And then try to use all that to have a critical thought process on this
Right.
before you go and repost it. Because my family, you know what they call me sometimes? The fact checker. Because sometimes in the family group chat, they'll drop something crazy about something that they have to worry about. Something like, and then I have to go and check on Snopes. So go look it up for news sources and just be like, okay, this is actually the truth. This is not true. This is just fear mongering, or this is something that, it has been debunked, or this is something that does not actually act or happen this way.
Mm.
And I'm just always the first one to go and actually do my own research and figure out, like, okay, what sources are confirming the latest thing that has been sent to my family group chat, or denying it, or correcting it, or something like that. So I feel like it's all on us.
Right.
Especially, like,
that
what?
leads into the next point, actually.
I was going to say, also very important, if you have kids, like, you got to teach them these things early.
Yes. And they don't teach them in school.
No, they won't.
Right. And I think only certain schools have media literacy classes.
Like a specialized high school.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, and this leads into the next point, digital citizenship. Because just like your family is relying on you to check on something because they probably don't have the time or the will, or they don't care or whatever.
They know I'll do it.
Right? Exactly. Because you care about the truth and stuff like that. So it's like, this is a part of, like I said before, you don't live in a void, right? And it's like, you have to be responsible in a certain way, because there's a lot of information being thrown at you all the time. And, I've always, me personally, what I do is I never really hop on any hot topic right away, because I wait, because you have to let that thing mature a little bit, because literally within 48 hours, the whole narrative could change, because
more information becomes available.
Right, because you don't know what's going to happen specific, because people do all kinds of weird stuff, right? I could point to some examples, like what was one? The lady, remember, I think it was like last year or this year or earlier this year, with the lady, she put super glue in her hair.
Wait, no, that was like, wasn't that a couple years ago?
I think it was last year.
That's like I think that was two. You talk about the Gorilla Glue lady.
Right.
That was like 3 years ago, I think.
Right. And then, a lot of people jumped in it, thought, she's dumb, all this other stuff, but turns out she just misplaced the bottle, right? She didn't realize what was happening. And did you know she got help by a surgeon? Like, they was able to separate everything.
He helped her for free.
Right. And, so it's like, it turned out to be like a feel-good story in the end of everything, right? Or like the pink sauce lady, which went up, down, up again, and now it's just down.
That whole that whole story is crazy.
Right.
2021, bro. 3 years ago, that happened. Gorilla Glue. I'm like, I know Gorilla Glue lady was like right after COVID. It was like,
oh yeah, it was.
It was like during. It was kind of
Yeah.
during lockdown.
Yeah. So like these are just some examples of like what there's stuff out there, and I feel like because I think it owes it to yourself because unfortunately a lot of lies get spread around way too fast. Things that are just kind of like all over the place, and this is why more celebrities are winning defamation cases now. So it's like because it's easier because you are irresponsible digital citizen that's just like, oh, look at all and hoping that you might go viral for saying some dumb shit without knowing all the stuff, and you can literally harm somebody doing this sort of thing.
Didn't Cardi B win her case?
She won her case against a blogger.
And the blogger was just kept repeating craziness.
She kept on talking, and she left the country. Actually, she said she's not paying Cardi B. She fled the country. She's in South Africa, and I don't know if she came back or not, but she went there. She's still continuing her same bullshit. And I don't know.
I'm surprised she didn't get deported back to the States.
Well, we'll see what happens with all that.
That's crazy.
But that's like an ongoing thing, right? Which goes into the next point: media creation and production, right? So, when it comes to even us making the show, a lot of the stuff goes into it, like how we set up our mics, where the camera's going to be, how our look is going to be, and what we're trying to convey in a visual medium and stuff like that. Because even all of that can be representative of what message you're trying to send, right? Is it really good camera, shitty audio? What are you trying to do here? Do we have things in the background?
Distractions.
That stuff like that. So it's like trying to figure out how all that kind of puts together and stuff like that. What is the message you're trying to put out there? Because recently someone asked me about creating. They never. I don't think they've made a podcast before, if I'm not mistaken. I had this conversation with this guy. He wants to do a video podcast, but he wants to do it like on location. He does a lot of brunch, and he has like this. He's very, what's the word? Dapper. Like a type of dapper look with the fedoras. And,
dapper gentleman.
Yeah, so he does a lot of brunch stuff, and he wants to he has a co-host who's a woman. She also dresses that, in this, really the aesthetics, right? Of, he unfortunately he mentioned, what's that red pill guy who died a couple of years back? What is his name? Kevin Samuels. He said he liked his look. Now he didn't say he liked his content, but if you don't look up Kevin Samuels, terrible person.
I am not trying to change my algorithm on my phone right now.
Yeah,
look up stuff,
do not look that up.
It'll start sending me all the weirdest things.
Talk about that is a case study in media literacy.
We'll just keep.
But the production really helps with that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
You have to be very intentional in what you're trying to do, and it's like, and all that plays into the audience you're trying to reach and the narrative that you're trying to preach to people. And with the other skills that we mentioned, you can sit and listen. I don't have a problem with you listening to, anybody from like Neil deGrasse Tyson to Alex Jones. But I know two diametrically opposed type of things where it's like, the reason why I said it's like, just because these people they claim to be, and yes, one actually has credentials in being an expert, the other one claims
to be an
expert. Now, there are easy ways to prove these things. You could just look it up. There's information out there that's public.
Where did these people go to school?
Right.
Where did they study? Who did they study under?
Right. What are their expertise really in?
Have they published any papers?
Exactly.
That have been peer reviewed.
Not yelling on TV, talk about I got the papers.
But you see the papers. It's been 3 years, sir. You're gonna get the papers. They're coming. Big papers.
Concept and thoughts of
concepts and thoughts of papers.
But what I'm trying to say is like that part right there. It all like even when it comes to like one of the biggest. It's weird. Everybody keeps saying like the biggest platform now is YouTube for podcasting, specifically video podcasting. And it helped out a whole lot in a lot of recent events that we've had. And also with how people are gaining a lot of followership, right? Have you ever heard of the Midas Touch Network?
Oh, yeah, they're in my feed.
Right. So those people are now beating out legacy media in ratings and stuff like that.
You know, it's funny because I never searched for Midas Network.
Right, you don't. But they're just there. They have like 3 million subscribers now, like for their main channel. I don't know about the rest of them, but it's enough where they're flooding the zone, if you will, of their content and stuff like that, where you see it regardless if you follow them or not.
I definitely don't.
You know,
but I see it.
Yeah, because the algorithm is like, oh, you click on this, or you might be interested in this, and yada yada, and you probably click on it anyway because it kind of
interests you.
Yeah, so it's like, but they have a specific way how they produce their stuff versus something like ABC News, which is also on the list, but their whole aesthetic is different versus a guy who's sitting in front of his webcam in his home library versus a studio set, right? So, you know, it's like what looks better for you and stuff like that. But also be considered, like, also know your audience. It's like, remember, it's like new media versus old media and stuff like that. And it's like, how is that, you know, what is it? Because, yes, you are responsible for these things. So keep that in mind. You do have a responsibility. Don't just be like, well, I just say things and repeat them and, you know, whatever. But anyway, which leads me to the last point, right? Lifelong learning, right? So media literacy is a life learning, like it's a lifelong learning skill. It never stops because it changes all the time. Like, what is the biggest disruptor of media this last couple of years? AI.
I was going to say TikTok, but no, AI. AI is true.
I mean, yeah, TikTok is that's just a platform, but what has been truly disruptive has been AI. The same type of nonsense we've been seeing spread, like, you know, like if you go and look at the different platforms, look at their video section, if they have one. Sometimes you have to kind of look far and wide to find it, depending on where you are. You will see so I've been on social media accounts for, God, who knows, so long, where depending on where you are in the world, you get certain videos served to you and stuff like that. But one video, the same type of videos I keep seeing, no matter the platform, no matter the year, is these weird videos that show some sort of creature. You don't really know what it is, or some sort of weird type of, like, oh, giants existed. Look at these bones. And, you know, but because a lot of people don't really have access to a lot of these ways to the tools to know how to manipulate images and how to edit and all this other stuff.
They think it's real.
Right, they think it's real. Like, I think there was one that went viral a number of years ago where you saw a snake the size of like a bus snaking through the side of a mountain. You know, when it really was just a what you call a boring machine. So, but they manipulated it to make it look like it was a snake. You know, technically a boring machine looks like a snake, but it's not really. You know?
I've seen 2 examples of this recently. The first one is this video that's older. It's of a boat being broken in half by a megalodon coming up and going breaching through in the middle of it, and it's like, you know, this is what scientists say megalodon, how big it was, but people in the comments, some think it's AI. I mean, some know that's AI. Right. Others are just like, oh my God, where did this happen? Right. I'm just like, and then there was another one. There's this really talented artist. I'm part of his Facebook group, and he uses AI to create all these crazy, cool Warhammer stuff. But he also creates real world crazy scenarios.
Yeah.
And he put up one recently that said, here is this underground McDonald's in Siberia that, you know, they started making it. It looks all cool and everything, but they never finished it. And it's literally in a cave, and it's all McDonald's with like abandoned play place and stuff like that. It looks creepy and haunted. Oh. But he's so good at it that if he didn't tell you, he had to put in the comments, by the way, guys, this is, you know, I made this. This is still me. I just made this. And people are like, thank you for telling us, because, you know, it's a little scary.
He should work for The Onion.
Yeah, he should, really. But, like, it's the fact that, you know, people have to be told, like, guys, this is AI. This is not actually real. And, you know, AI is only going to get better.
Yes,
it is only going to get better as time goes on.
Like, what was the recent one? Coca-Cola and their ad.
Oh, yeah, the entire ad in AI.
Right. Like, I mean, if you slow it down and you see mistakes.
You look for little things that are, you know, signatures of artifacts.
Right, exactly. But, so it's like, but, you know, because it's an ad, it's quick moving. It has the stuff you see there and stuff like that. You know,
you're not expecting the ad to be AI,
right?
You expect it to be like the real thing, like they did it, like, you know,
right? You don't expect legacy media or legacy companies to do this sort of thing, but if you like, having this type of media literacy would help you out because it's like, no, you should expect this and you should expect more of it going forward. Like, I'm waiting for the very first all AI feature film. It's going to happen, Some studio out there is going to spend the time to do it.
That is going to be a long render time.
Exactly.
Think about that for a second.
You put in 5 seconds.
You put in the screenplay and everything like that, and then okay, here, cool. Here's the aesthetic. Here are the characters I have in mind. Now render out this 2-hour long film. Got you in 4K.
Yeah, I mean, hey. And on one hand, I would say that's exciting because how many people we know write scripts and stories?
We do know
books.
a few.
We know, what I'm saying? They have compelling stories.
Mm-hmm.
And, on one hand, it's like, it's great. You don't have to go get a loan, put yourself in debt, find a studio, an agent, find all these people.
Dude, if I could, for Chris's work, I would, his story, I want him to finish it so I can go pitch it to Netflix. But if I could sit there and just actually program AI to complete the whole thing and put the story out there on YouTube, that'd be even amazing.
Because you can probably make more money there than you do in the theaters, right? So it's like, there's like on that one hand, but on the other hand, there's a lot of jobs going.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Right. Yes. Yep. Knock on wood.
Nope.
Yeah.
We've been talking for a while now, and I just actually know the time. So
yes. So yeah.
To sum up,
media
literacy is important.
Very important.
Please be wary of your sources.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they coming from? What angles they may or may not have? Does anybody else confirm them? Check their credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be so quick. If something seems outrageous to be true, check your sources.
Yeah.
Check them.
Mm-hmm.
See, oh my God, how many people share satire articles, and they don't realize that the website is satire, and I have to go into the freaking About Me and screenshot it and post it and be like, guys, this is from a satirical
none of this is real. It's like
this is why I don't be on Facebook that much anymore. But
I'm getting close to just deleting it, to be quite honest with you. It's like I'm gonna be on Blue Sky.
Yeah. So thank you for checking out our episode of ISO Insiders. We will be again here next week. It'll be my turn to talk about this lens that I really want to get.
Lenses.
Hey, I love lenses. It's Christmas time. Anyway, so check us out on our social media on ISO Insiders on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
I keep forgetting. And we're also on YouTube on our Gifted Video Network page.
Yeah. Channel. Page. I don't know what they call it.
I think it's channel. No, it's channel.
Yeah,
it is channel.
YouTube channel, Gifted Videos Network.
I guess that's what
Gifted Video Network. Yeah, but you can find, if you just look up ISO Insiders on YouTube, you can find it as well.
And if you have anything that you want to discuss, please send to us. All right. All right. So we'll talk to y'all later in the next one.
Peace.